Let that sink in for a second. It's an incredible idea, right? And that one sentence, it's really the key to everything we're going to talk about today. This is a story that, as you'll see, isn't just about astrophysics. It's about connection. It's about completely rewiring how we see the universe, and maybe even more importantly, our own place in it. So our story kicks off here, Ithaca, New York, 1975. I want you to just picture this. It's a cold, snowy day, and there's a 17-year-old kid from the Bronx, a world away from this fancy Ivy League town, standing at a bus station. He's holding this little piece of paper with a phone number on it. And it's not just any number. It's the home phone number of the most famous astronomer on the planet, Carl Sagan. Now this kid, Neil deGrasse Tyson, had just spent the day with his hero. But what happened next? That's what changed everything. Sagan didn't just shake his hand and send him off. He looked outside, saw the snow piling up, and he personally drove Tyson to that bus station. And as he's dropping him off, he gives him that paper and says, "Hey, if the bus can't get through the snow, call me. You can just spend the night at our place." I mean, just think about that. That simple act of human kindness. And that moment, that single act of kindness, that was the spark. That's when Neil deGrasse Tyson realized something huge. The old way of doing things, the scientist as this cold, distant genius locked away in an ivory tower, that was broken. He saw that the most powerful force in the universe isn't some black hole. It's empathy. It's that human connection to the truth. And this was the beginning of what we're calling the Tyson Equation. And no, it's not about math. It's a new philosophy. It's this decision to stop treating science like it's some secret club and instead treat it like an open invitation for everyone to experience wonder. So to really get what makes this equation so powerful, we're going to break it down into 6 parts. First up, we've got the Sagan blueprint, that act of kindness that basically set the mission. Then we'll jump back to his early days in A Bridge from the Bronx. After that, we'll dig into his core philosophy with the mandate of wonder. Then we get practical with the communication equation, the actual system he uses. We'll see the result in The Scientist Re-Engineered. And then, the most important part, how you can build your own equation. All right, let's dive into part 1, the Sagan blueprint. This is all about redefining what a scientist's mission should even be. Because that offer of a place to stay, it wasn't just a nice thing to do. It was a transfer of responsibility. It was like a torch being passed from one generation's greatest science communicator to the next. See, what Sagan gave him that day was so much bigger than just career advice. It's been called a blueprint for being a human being. Sagan wasn't just showing him how to be a great astronomer. He was showing him how to be a great person who just happened to be an astronomer. The goal was never just to spit out facts, list off the moons of Jupiter. The real mission was to transmit a feeling, an experience, to build this human connection to the truth so strong that it could totally change how you see yourself in the cosmos. Sagan showed him that empathy wasn't a liability in science, it was its greatest superpower. Okay, so if Sagan gave him the blueprint, who was the guy who got it? To understand that, we have to go to our second section, A Bridge from the Bronx. We've got to rewind to a young man trying to figure out who he was in a world that had some very different ideas for him. The moment that really set him on his path happened when he was just 9 years old. He walked into the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. The lights went down, and then, boom, the universe just exploded across the ceiling. He later called it the cosmic imprint. And for him, it wasn't just some cool light show. The stars weren't just dots in the sky anymore. They became a map of home. The universe was calling out to him. And he knew, right then and there, that he was going to be an astrophysicist. There was just one tiny problem. The world had a very, very specific picture of what an astrophysicist was supposed to be. And this slide just lays out the battle he was facing perfectly. On one side, you've got the standard model, the stereotype of a scientist back then. Nerdy, socially awkward, totally disconnected from the real world. But that wasn't Neil deGrasse Tyson at all. This was the captain of the high school wrestling team, a competitive Latin dancer, a kid from the Bronx, not some ivory tower. He was up against this thing called stereotypical erasure, where society is basically telling you, hey, people who look like you, who come from your neighborhood, they don't do this kind of stuff. So he's at this fork in the road. He has to make a choice that's going to define his whole life. Was science going to be a filter, a way to keep people out, like the academic elites so often used it? Or could it be something else? He decided, with everything he had, that he was going to make it a bridge. He would learn all the physics, master the math, but he was never going to let go of who he was. He decided to take what society saw as a weakness and turn it into his greatest strength, a way to smash down the walls and hold the door open for everyone else.
And that decision, that choice to build a bridge, wasn't just about him. It became the foundation for a whole new way of thinking about what science should be. And that brings us to part 3, the mandate of wonder.
Knowing how to think empowers you far beyond those who know only what to think. This quote right here, this is the core of everything he believes. For Tyson, science isn't just a bunch of facts you memorize for a test. It's a toolkit. It's a way of seeing the world, of asking better questions. He totally rejects the whole idea of just cramming facts in your head. Because if you only know what to think, you're just a passenger. But if you learn how to think, suddenly you're in the driver's seat of your own life.
So what's the engine that drives this whole philosophy? It's an idea we can call cosmic empathy. Here's the deal. Tyson doesn't just look at a galaxy and see star charts and gas clouds. He sees a tool to help us get our heads around this beautiful paradox, that we are, at the same time, completely insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and yet we're profoundly connected to everything. We're literally made of star stuff. And when you really embrace that, it just abolishes what he calls the standard ego. It dissolves our petty arguments and our tribalism. It's a superpower that protects us from ignorance, because the truth of our connection is way more exciting than any comforting lie. And being the systems guy that he is, he didn't just leave this as some big abstract idea. He turned it into a simple 3-step process. Step 1, adopt the cosmic perspective. Basically, look up. Remind yourself how big this all is and how small you are. Step 2, abolish the standard ego. Once you have that perspective, let go of all the small stuff that divides us. And step 3, which is maybe the most crucial part of his work, make the truth so amazing, so awe-inspiring, that it's way more exciting than any fake story or conspiracy theory. But you know, a powerful philosophy is one thing. To actually go out and change the world, you need a system. And this gets us to the practical genius of Neil deGrasse Tyson, our 4th section, the communication equation. This is the nuts and bolts of how he makes it all happen. The way he can make these incredibly complex ideas feel so simple, it's not an accident. It's a system. And it has 4 key parts. First, communication auditing. He's always analyzing what works and what doesn't. Second, the Soundbite Protocol, he fine-tunes his key phrases and analogies until they sound totally spontaneous. Third, metaphorical layering. He uses simple, relatable ideas to build a bridge to really complex stuff. And finally, cosmic pacing. He even uses the rhythm of how he speaks to mirror the ideas he's talking about. So what does this system actually look like in action? Well, let's take a couple of famous examples. When he's talking about falling into a black hole, he doesn't hit you with a bunch of equations. He uses one perfect word: spaghettification. Why? Because you don't need the math. You can instantly feel and picture what that means. Or think about trying to explain the 13.8 billion year history of the universe. That number is just impossible for our brains. So he created the cosmic calendar, squeezing all of time into 1 year. It gives us a scale our minds can actually work with. It's his system at its absolute best. What's really wild is that he treats every single public appearance, a TV show, a tweet, anything, like a science experiment. The public is his lab. He's like a sound engineer at a mixing board, constantly tweaking the levels. A metaphor here, a joke there, a pause for effect. He's always measuring what you could call wonder retention. Are people leaning in? Are they having that wow moment? Nothing is left to chance. Even his famous star-covered vests are a part of the system, a deliberate way to engage people. He's not guessing what inspires us. He's systematically engineering awe. So, what's the result of all this? What happens when you put that philosophy and that system together? You get a complete transformation, not just of one person's career, but of what it even means to be a scientist in our culture today. This is part 5, the scientist re-engineered. I mean, this timeline just maps out his incredible journey. It starts back in '68 with that cosmic imprint at the planetarium. Then the huge moment in '75, meeting Carl Sagan. Then, in this beautiful full circle moment, he goes back to where it all started, becoming the director of the Hayden Planetarium in '96. And then in 2014, he fully steps into his mentor's shoes, hosting the new Cosmos series. He went from being the kid inspired by the universe to being the guy responsible for inspiring the rest of us. But making a change this big, it doesn't come for free. He's faced a ton of criticism from academic purists who say he's dumbing down the science. But look at the trade-off he made. In exchange for the approval of a very small group of insiders, he created this incredible level of public engagement. He literally created a new archetype, the scientist as a cultural force. And he proved that the more confusing our world gets,
the more we absolutely need people who are armed with critical thinking and filled with a sense of wonder.
And all of this leads us to our final, and I think the most important section. We've talked about his story, his philosophy, his system, but what does it all mean for you? How can you take these lessons and apply them to your own life?
When you boil it all down, the core lesson of his entire life is actually pretty simple. Science isn't a class you take in school. It's not a list of facts. Science is wonder. It's a mindset. It's that relentless curiosity. And in a world that is practically designed to distract us and divide us, that ability to feel wonder, well, it's not a luxury anymore. It's the ultimate survival tool.
I really want you to think about that question. In a world with endless information and just as much misinformation, what is your greatest defense? It's your own curiosity. It's your willingness to ask questions and to translate what's complex into something simple and beautiful. And this isn't just for scientists. Whether you're an artist, an engineer, a parent, your biggest advantage is your ability to understand and then share the genuine awe at the heart of what you do.
So the final challenge, the thing this story is asking of all of us, is this: refuse to just be a passive consumer of information. Don't just report on the facts someone else discovered. Instead, do the work. Find the stardust in your own life, in your own passion. Figure out your own version of the cosmic calendar, a way to give people perspective. Build a mindset that is so huge it commands the horizon. Stop being a simple reporter of facts and start building your own equation.